Well, you've got it there. That's the latest from the Prime Minister himself. Non-essential gatherings of 500 people or more, no more. I'm going to be now crossing to Chris Kenny and Annalise Nelson in our Sydney studios just to unpack what we heard there. Chris, I'll start with you. This is an evolving situation. Things are changing, but I've got to say it does seem strange that this is starting on Monday and we've still got major sporting events happening on the weekend and the Prime Minister looks like is attending one.
I don't think it's a problem, Rita. I think this was sobering, it was sensible, it was orderly. It gave Australia a bit of a direction of where we're going. I think everybody will know about this ban on mass gatherings, the recommendation not to have mass gatherings so people can make up their own minds whether they go to the footy or whatnot over the weekend. We heard there that the Chief Medical Officer recommended bringing it in Monday so people get a chance to get grips of it. I think the extraordinary thing here is a bit of history we're seeing. Rita, this is a national cabinet, effectively a weekly meeting of state and territory and federal leaders to manage this issue. This is a big step. It is historic. And I think it'll be very reassuring to the public. I think we sure saw good leadership there from not just Scott Morrison, but from the other premiers as well, Labor and Liberal. And I'll tell you how reassuring it is it turned out to be, because while this was going on the share markets, which had plunged 8% today, they'd gone backwards 8%, they are now in positive territory. There's been an 11% turnaround in the stock market while this has been going on. So pretty extraordinary times.
During that 40 minutes. Just during that 40-minute period.
Absolutely.
That's extraordinary.
It is absolutely extraordinary, but it goes to the heart of how jumpy everyone is, how volatile the situation is, but it demonstrates how reassuring it was for the country to see our governments, state and federal, working together on a solid plan to try and just calm everyone down. But, yeah, a dramatic step to say that mass gatherings should be avoided, and from Monday any gatherings over 500 shouldn't go ahead. And also, of course, thrown in there a recommendation to Australians, which is probably superfluous now anyway, but a recommendation that Australians just don't travel overseas unless they really, really need to.
Yes, I heard that several times then, non-essential travel. Annalise, he gave us a few exemptions from those mass gatherings, mentioned primary and secondary schools, universities, public transport and airports. How much more detail are we going to get on precisely what is exempt and what really should be put off for the foreseeable future?
Well, he did go into a good bit of detail there about exactly why they're doing it, and I think that's going to be really key for people deciding whether they go ahead with events. It was that advice from the Chief Medical Officer, Brendan Murphy, there, who was saying the issue is not being around other people, it's being in close proximity with someone who has coronavirus for up to 2 hours. That's when they think you are most likely to contract that disease. And so with a sporting event, that makes sense. You'll be sitting next to someone for that length of time. Going on a train, you could pass by someone, you could see them briefly, and so that's not a higher risk of transmission. The other point he was making was that this is a preventative measure. We've only got 158 cases that's been posted as being positive coronavirus cases in Australia. That's not that much when we have a high population. This is the preventative measure they're wanting to take so we don't end up in the same situation like we've seen in Italy, where the problem gets away from them and they're bringing in these measures when they aren't as effective. We have the added challenge of the fact we are going to be heading into winter soon. So this is something where it does seem they are trying to be on the front foot and they are taking the best medical advice. But I think Chris was absolutely right there. It is right for the PM to go to this, to his normal match, because the other thing is we don't want to panic people. We do want to see the market stabilise. We do want to see people going about their lives and not sequestering themselves if they don't need to, because then they'll be out back in the community again soon and we might not be able to control it. They want to try and level out the number of cases. They know it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Now, thank you both for joining me and giving us your insights. I'm going to be back after the ad break with more. So much to discuss, so much has happened in the past hour that we need to go through in detail.